In our film opening, we have used the genre thriller/action. Our film also contains of various conventions of successful thriller/action movies such as Soul. Your average action movie consists of fight scenes, chase scenes, guns, explosions, and a recognizable evil villain. During the pre-production of our film opening, we got inspiration from the movie Hitman. When comparing the interrogation scene of Hitman to the opening scene of our film, we have successfully achieved the initial idea of the protagonist being represented as the more dominant character. Inspiration from the role of our protagonist came from James Bond from the 007 franchise. Throughout the movie Skyfall, it was seen that Daniel Craig, James Bond, was a man who was very mysterious and difficult to comprehend. We wanted our protagonist to be similar. This leads us to develop upon the 007 franchise, as the protagonist in our film opening is wearing a mask, which leaves the mystery to who he really is. Like most action films, the protagonist is mostly dressed in a suit and tie. This is seen in movies such as Skyfall and Hitman. It can be seen that our film opening has successfully achieved this convention, as our protagonist is dressed in a suit and tie. In real life, we would use Jason Statham from the Transporter series, as he is a very dominant figure and a man of few words. As a group, we decided that Legendary Pictures was the best institution to distribute our film. This is because we looked at previous films that Legendary Pictures have distributed, and these films are generally successful action/thriller movies. For example, The Dark Knight Rises, Man of Steel, and Inception. This shows that Legendary Pictures have an interest in distributing action films, which is one main reason they would distribute our film. We wanted our film to be distributed by a respectful company, preferably one of the big five. The fact that Legendary Pictures was founded in the year 2000 means that over 15 years that Legendary Pictures have been operating, they have earned a respectful reputation for distributing successful films such as The Dark Knight Rises, which grossed approximately $1 billion. Our film has showed key connotations of successful blockbuster films. For example, our film required top-tier actors to make our movie seem more professional and attract a much bigger audience by using professional actors. If an unpopular distribution company were to consider our film, the certain media criteria will not be achieved. Man of Steel and The Dark Knight Rises received huge media attention, and we would wish the same for our film. Another reason we would choose Legendary Pictures to distribute our film is because our film is a high-budget action film. Low-budget independent distribution companies, such as Wrecking Hill, will not have the proper capability to adequately distribute a high-budget film like ours. We attracted our audience with themes that are stereotypically seen as thriller/action. Whilst doing this, we also aimed to make it original. We looked into the convention of a thriller/action film and what is needed to gain a large audience. We were asking fellow classmates and people from different age ranges on our SurveyMonkey what they would need for a thriller/action film to gain their attention. Their reply varied, but the main thing we collected was that they like to have a cliffhanger to gain their attention. So due to their feedback, we then incorporated this into our film opening, when the screen turns black without warning. After looking into the genre of thriller, we used stereotypical props such as the law book that shows the audience an insight to what the character's job is and linking it to the storyline. The judge's hair is used to solidify to the audience who the character is. The use of the mask for the anonymous character played by Arandeep is effective to attract the audience due to the history known behind the creation of the mask. All the props used are effective to attract the audience to the film due to the link that they have with the thriller genre. The mask also creates suspense and makes the audience question his identity, once again linking to the genre of thriller. Another way we attracted our audience is with the use of the main protagonist using a voiceover in the beginning of our film to give the audience an insight of the character's story, a form of narrative that was very effective to engage the audience. Also, by using a voiceover, we established that it would create some emotional interaction between the audience and the main protagonist. Inspiration for the voiceover came from the movie Limitless, where the main character, Eddie Mora, played by a well-known actor, Bradley Cooper, Eddie's character gains the attention of the audience instantly due to the fact that they are able to know what is happening to him and what events have led him to his current situation. Looking back at our preliminary task, we feel that we have improved and developed a lot of skills. When looking at our camera work of our preliminary task, we realized that it was very basic, containing only 3 different shots, most of them being jump cuts, which in some instances seem boring to the viewer. When compared to shots in our film opening, we see that they are much more diverse and have more movement. which helps signify certain actions such as a character walking. There are also some interesting shots, for example, the point of view shot, which gives the viewer a better visual experience of what the character is seeing, almost like putting the audience inside the character's shoes. When looking at mise en scène in our preliminary task, we saw that lighting in our shots was different, which didn't make the footage have continuity and made it look less professional. When compared to our final opening, which consisted of similar lighting throughout, this helped with the transitions of each clip, making them look a lot better, helping add flow and continuity to our film opening. We also didn't pay much attention to other elements of mise en scène, such as costume and props. Therefore, in our final film, we paid a significant amount of attention into costume and props to help it fit our genre. We also used props such as a gun and a suit and tie to help convey the typical conventions of the action genre. When looking back at the ending of our preliminary task, we saw how we used cuts and editing. Compared to our preliminary task, we used a variety of transitions in our film opening, such as fades and blackouts, to create tension on the audience. Despite our preliminary task being 28 seconds, it gave us something to build upon, allowing us to learn from our mistakes and make a better film opening. The primary target audience for our film would be young males. This is because the action genre appeals to a wide range of an audience, however targets mainly young males. Disregarding that, the thriller aspect of our film opening limits us to ranging the ages of our movie to 18 and older, due to the fact that the film needs the audience to be able to understand what is occurring with the references towards the 2008/2009 recession, which are what led for the main character, Michael, to become corrupt. Because he did not wish to lose his lifestyle he formerly obtained for himself and his family. Also, with reference towards future violence, the audience would need to be older, due to the national guidance given to us by the British Board of Film Classification, who is the company that decide what age limit a film is to be given. Our secondary audience would be females, due to the main protagonist being a male, which would then gain their attention due to the appeal that they have to the male population. Another secondary audience would be people that are entertained by action films, with the film having future references of action occurring with the hitman character. For males, the attraction behind our film is the typical codes and conventions of an action/thriller movie, such as fighting scenes, violence, and explosions. Stereotypically, men in action films tend to take on the action role. The reason we include these things is because we wanted to attract the male audience to view our product. As it is an action film, the scenes of violence containing fighting and guns may be harmful for younger viewers. For filming, we used a Sony NEX5N. The key features are that it has 16.2 megapixel lens and a full HD AVC HD movie recording, which allowed us to record in 1080p and 50 fps. This allowed us to get really high quality footage, which gave it the more professional look. There was also a good size LCD display on the camera, which allowed us to frame our shots very well before we started to film. There were two main lenses that we used to film. Lenses played a big part in video recording since its size affected how the video is recorded and what the audience sees. We used a 16mm f2.8 prime lens. The low f-stop number allowed us to get good footage in very low lighting. Since all of our filming was done at night, this camera was extremely beneficial to us. We also used a tripod for filming. This allowed us to get very good panning shots as well as some stable shots. To record our dialogue, we used a smartphone since the audio recorded by the Sony NEX5N was not very good. For editing, we mainly used Final Cut Pro and Windows Live Movie Maker. Final Cut Pro was used simply because it was simpler to add transitions such as fades and cuts, and make our final project look more professional by adding in effects such as letterbox, which reduces the aspect ratio of the clip to make it have a more professional feel. Windows Live Movie Maker was used to create our evaluation, as it was a lot simpler to use than most editing softwares. Our film opening had contained two actors. We all agreed that the actors, to a large extent, represent the social group in which they are contained in. For example, the antagonist in our film opening was a hitman, who is represented to be dedicated in his field of work, and he specializes in the work he does. This became evident when he surprises the judge with his appearing from nowhere, causing the judge to panic. The fact that the judge didn't notice he was there until the loud noise was made shows how stealth the hitman is. Common conventions show that the antagonist should be a male, as this gives the feel that the antagonist is dominant throughout the entire film. The antagonist in our film is similar to Daniel Craig, James Bond from the 007 franchise. This is because they are both dedicated to their job and are men of few words. In addition to this, they are dressed in similar attire and win majority of the fights/arguments they are in. Furthermore, the actor who played the role of the judge successfully achieved all of the connotations attached to being a judge. He was dressed in appropriate attire. It was evident through the car he drove he was a very wealthy man. The judge's wig, shown in the film opening, further reinforces the power that comes to being a judge.